Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about Choujin X Chapter 3. Now, the last video I released was a review on Chapter 2 because I took a while editing it, and also I just procrastinated a lot. But anyways, this chapter is overall better than the second one, I'd say. But before we get into what happens in this newest chapter, I'd like to remind you to like and subscribe because it helps me out a lot and I would really appreciate it. Anyways, let's get on with the video. So to start off, the chapter opens up with Tokyo carrying Azuma and trying to take him to the hospital because Azuma is still unconscious, it seems like. As Tokyo is carrying Azuma, he trips and falls over, waking Azuma up. And Azuma looks at Tokyo and sees like his kind of plague doctor mask, and he's in shock. Tokyo, realizing Azuma's up, shakes him, asking if he's okay, and just is worried about him, offering to take him to the hospital and saying he'll lend him his shoulder and that he can be useful as well. Azuma then tells Tokyo he can go on his own and what would happen if people found out if he's a Choujin, that stuff would be bad if people found out there was a drug that can turn you into a Choujin, and that he won't be able to return to his regular life and that he needs to hide it. So Tokyo goes back home and takes a shower, where we see the end of chapter 2 take place, most likely. His mom then calls for him, saying he's gotta eat breakfast, and we see Tokyo's just getting out of the shower and is eating breakfast. And he's still not used to his Vulture mask yet, because that's stated later in the chapter that it's most likely he took the form of a vulture, because he has a good memories with the animal of the vulture and with Azuma as well. He then fakes fever so he doesn't have to go into school that day, and so people don't realize he's a Choujin, and he starts thinking, what if he's going to be like this his whole life? And then he starts having a bit of a breakdown and starts crying. Then he looks at his phone, wondering if Azuma made it to school alright. He then tries calling him, but he doesn't respond, so he decides to go outside to check up on him. So he ties his face down with a belt, which looks really uncomfortable, and walks outside, also picking some stuff up for the rest of his family. He makes it to Azuma's house. He sees him in his room via the light and calls him, asking if he's alright and just being a good friend. So Azuma says that they couldn't figure out anything and that nothing for him is out of the ordinary, so it doesn't look like Azuma is a Choujin, even though he used the same syringe as Tokyo, or the same kind of one. Tokyo still tells him that he looks like a bird, and Azuma says, so it's a vulture then, and he makes a hypothesis that the Choujin you turn into is the form of the most desire, or the form they desire most, and that's what he thought after seeing Tokyo. So then Tokyo starts saying he wants to go back to his normal self, but he doesn't know what to do, and Azuma quickly snaps at him, yelling, for once, think for yourself for once, as Tokyo jolts back and Azuma gasps. Tokyo then says sorry and tells Azuma that he's so on edge and that he was really worried about him and that he was just expecting him to tell me what to do because that's what happened before, usually. And he then says, it's just like you said, I'm pathetic. So then he says, sorry, I'll talk to you later. I'm glad you're okay. Azuma, staring out the window, yells Tokyo, and then says under his breath, sorry, Tokyo. It's not your fault, you. Then we cut to the long neck guy from chapter 1, and it seems we got his name being Johnny Takayama. And the masked guy who gave him the syringe in the first place is asking him where the other two went. And he says they were kids, one of them turned into a Choujin, that one of them had a beak, and that they were some kind of monster that he doesn't know. The masked guy then says, do you know his name? Then he says, he's not talking, you're pretty much gonna kill me anyway. I killed my own 2 guys, and that he doesn't want to sink lower than he already has. So then the masked guy just does some kind of cool looking technique, and then strikes a pose, saying, so a beak and a mask you say. So that's the end of the chapter. Most likely, in the next one, it will be another chapter focusing on Ellie, like chapter 2 did, or we'll begin to see the bigger narrative unfold, most likely with this masked guy at the end of the chapter, looking into who Tokyo is and his whereabouts, and possibly hunting him down for some reason, because maybe Tokyo's a special Choujin or something? Who knows? Anyways, that's been the end of the video. I quickly want to remind you to like and subscribe, and peace out, and I'll see you in the next one.